My name's Jo Miller from Miller Goodall. We're based up in Bolton. In March 2018, we had a client call, Harrison Pitt Architects in Lancaster. The proposal was to demolish around 2/3 of the development and create 28 student apartments and an apart hotel over 4 stories at the rear of the development. The auditorium was built in 1929, and in the latter years it'd been used as a disco, a children's play area, but it was, as you see from the photos, it was in a very poor state of repair. It's really quite sad for a building of that nature. So the reason for our involvement with the assessment was due to a very active nightclub next door, the largest nightclub in Lancaster, very popular with students. It's opened pretty much 7 days a week, sometimes over the weekend till 4 o'clock in the morning. So there's a really serious concern of noise and vibration potentially impacting on the new development. Miller Goodall consulted with the local authority, which was Lancaster City Council. They were obviously concerned about low frequency noise potentially impacting on the new residential properties. The last thing we ever want to do is to lead to a situation where a development takes place and then local residents are impacted by that low frequency bass that they can feel and hear when they're lying in bed. They also were very specific about the source measurements that we took and our predicted levels being the highest 5-minute measurement period that we took the values from. So that was the highest 5-minute period over several weekends of monitoring. Not only did Lancaster City Council require those very stringent low frequency noise requirements, which really dictated any mitigation that was involved, they also requested or required a 3 dB margin of error. So we were required basically to achieve 3 dB less than the requirements that they specified, which was incredibly tight given the volume of noise from the nightclub. One of the other significant issues as part of the development is the glow rooms, and the nightclub next door has a very large external terrace at the rear of the property. People are out on that terrace until very early hours of the morning. You can imagine the smoking, the drinking, the talking, the laughter, etc., etc. So that was a significant part of the noise assessment. The solutions that were developed for the project were very much a multidisciplinary approach. We worked really closely with the architect. We worked very closely with Lancaster City Council's external acoustic consultant that they employed, so that initially the exterior elevation for the student accommodation was on the worst case façade. We recommended they remove the glazing from that façade, and the glazing was facing away from the nightclub. We also recommended that internally there was a buffer zone provided by the corridor for the student accommodation, such that they weren't as close as they could be to the nightclub next door, along with obviously creating a physical separation between the nightclub and the residential accommodation. The glazing requirements were very substantial, required secondary glazing for the worst case façades. But even with that secondary glazing, with the redesign of the site away from the nightclub, we still had issues trying to achieve the low frequency criteria, particularly with this 3 dB margin of error that the local authority required. The process we worked through with the architect was to look at each design, insert that design into the model and determine what the external noise level predicted to be, to see whether these very low frequency noise levels could be achieved internally. This was an iterative process that finally involved the student accommodation being angled away from the nightclub, and the benefit of that was quite significant for those low frequency noise issues. What we did is we worked with the architect to design the room to have a movable partition. Now what that allowed to happen is that the nighttime levels could be achieved with the partition in place, but during the daytime, when the noise really wasn't an issue because there isn't much traffic on that rear facade, it enabled the site to have openable windows during the day and that room to be opened up and noise then wasn't an issue. This innovative solution enabled that specific room that was really struggling to achieve the low frequency criteria to be achieved, and we were really pleased with the solution that we came up with along with the architect. The feedback from the client was really positive. They were really pleased that we were able to engage with the local authority and with the local authority's acoustic consultants. It's obviously a very technical field that the architect wouldn't have felt comfortable in dealing with those issues directly. They were happy that we were able to answer the questions raised, come up with design solutions to resolve the matter, and ultimately to provide them with a planning application that they're now taking forward.